Want to make the lofty lacy pattern? This is a 12 row repeat. Now don't let that overwhelm you. If you know how to SSK, K2 tog, so knit two together and slip slip knit, plus of course a knit and a purl and a yarn over, you can make this beautiful lacy stitch. Okay, so it is a 12 row repeat, and every other row, so 6 of those rows are really easy. It's just a bunch of purls with some knits on the end, so you got that. Okay, so that's 6 rows left that you need to know. Well, 3 of those rows are exactly the same as each other. So there's actually only 4 different rows that look different from each other in how they're set up on the pattern repeat. So I'm going to show you row by row what you do. I'll just show you what the repeat is in the beginning and the ending of the row, and then you will have this 12 row repeat, and you can refer to timestamps. So we're going to jump right into it here today on GoodKnit Kisses. Join me. Welcome to GoodKnit Kisses. We're all about helping you stitch your love and love your stitches. This lofty lacy pattern video will have a right and left-handed video tutorial, so click down in the video description below to get that, as well as get the information on the yarn and the needles that I'm using. But you don't have to use those for this, just use a yarn and appropriate size needle. So if you would like to get the pattern I'm working on right now, I've got a placemat pattern, but this will also be a runner pattern as well in the future. You can click down below in the video description and get that. You'll want to see it all written out, and I'm going to refer to that off screen, so you definitely want to go to that link and check out the blog to get it for free. If you like a downloadable without ads, you can check out our Ravelry and Etsy stores, and the links will be in that blog as well. All right, so let's get into the basics of this stitch. All right, so for this stitch, you're going to need a multiple of 6 plus 3. And I have a multiple of 6 plus 3 here, which is 57 stitches. So you want to have a multiple is divisible by 6, and then you add 3 if you're not familiar with working with multiples. So if you want to test it, you can certainly do what I have here, or you could just do 3 repeats. So that'd be 6 times 3 is 18 plus 3 for 21. And then let's go ahead and cast on, and you want to do a garter stitch border like this, and you're going to do 5 rows of knit stitch. So once you've casted on your multiple and knitted 5 rows of garter stitch, join me back here and we will start on the right side of your work. Pause your video, get there, and I will see you in a moment. For this pattern, I do recommend having a row counter, and after you complete a row, or perhaps you like to do it every other row, you would click it once, or for every other row, click twice, and it will jump to the next one, or you might have one that rolls or whatever. You can also just make tally marks on the side of a piece of paper and mark that, but you definitely want to keep up with which row that you're on for this project. Let's begin on row 1. I will be taking it slow for the decreases and increases at first, just in case you don't know how to do that. And of course, we do have tutorials for learning those stitches down at the links below in the video description. This is what row 1 looks like after you've done a 12 row repeat. So you can see that I have this long piece here, but this is not going to look like a full part until you get further. So let me show you what it looks like on the beginning up here. So this is where my garter stitch border is. So you can see you see about half of this long diamond, if you will, and then you see a full small diamond, and then it goes up to right about the top there, and you see what the stitch marker is. That's actually where the 12 row repeat is. So every time you see one of these little dots, you know you've done a full repeat. So all the way up to here would be 2 repeats, and so on and so on. So this is what it looks like at the very top. I just want you to see that just so you know both of them. All right, we're going to begin with a knit 2, and then we'll have our repeated section. So begin knitting 2, 1, 2. All right, so our asterisk, or where we begin our repeat, is yarn over, and then we're going to slip slip knit. So SSK, I'm going to slip 1. We're going knitwise into that stitch and slip it over to this other needle, and then put your other needle in the front of those 2 stitches, and then take your working yarn that was part of your yarn over and come around and knit those 2 together, and then drop the old off. And that is a slip slip knit, or a left leaning decrease. Okay, and for our left-handed knitters, it's going to look opposite to you. And the next stitch is going to be a knit 1. And now we want to decrease again, but this is a knit 2 together, or K2 tog. So we're going to go into the next 2 stitches, go into the front of those, through both, and knit together, drop that off. And now we want to yarn over again and knit 1. And that completes that repeat. So here we go again, yarn over, SSK, so knit into the front of those 2 stitches. It's actually knitting in the back of them. And knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, and knit 1. Okay, so if you need to count to 6 so that you know that you completed 6 stitches in that repeat, you could do it like this. Okay, 1 is my yarn over, 2 is my SSK, so slip, slip, knit, put that needle in the front of them, and we're going to knit into the back of the stitch, so that's 2, and then we're going to knit 1, which is my 3rd stitch, knit 2 together, which is my 4th stitch, yarn over, which is the 5th, and knit 1, which is the 6th. So you're just going to keep repeating that until you get to the last stitch. It will end with a knit 1 here, and then you will only have 1 stitch remaining. I'll show you at that point just to make sure you've got it, and I'll show you the next row. Pause your video, we'll see you there. End of row 1, I'm finishing up. I just did a knit 2 together. I have 2 stitches left. I still have a yarn over, knit 1, and knit the last stitch. All right, we're ready for row 2. Row 2 is going to be repeated. It's all the wrong side rows, and all of the wrong side rows are going to be exactly the same. You're going to knit 1 and yarn forward and purl all the way to the end until 1 stitch remains. So that's pretty easy. I don't think I need to show you the end of that row. But the very last stitch is knit. So the first and last stitches are knit, and that's it. So continue working on that. Oh, I should have done a slow purl. I'm so sorry for beginners. The purl is yarn forward, put your needle in the front, put your yarn around, so wrapping all the way around like this, and then push it through and pull off. So some of them are going to be looser than others. So this is just a regular knit stitch before, and yarn over and pull through. Okay, and now here's a yarn over instead of a stitch. So you're gonna yarn over to knit, to purl that stitch and push through and pull off. So make sure that you are purling all of those yarn overs and not dropping them off. And if you have a hard time with keeping your stitch count, remembering to count them in sections of 6 as you are knitting them on the right side would be helpful. And then on the wrong side, just making sure that your yarn overs are not, let's say, crossed over in front of a knit stitch by chance. Like this could happen to you and you say, well, that's really chunky, that's weird. But you may have gotten your yarn over behind an actual knit stitch. And so if you see this like this, you might want to mess with it and make sure it's not a yarn over that's first before that knit stitch. Otherwise you might accidentally knit them together and then your stitch count comes off. Okay, so we want to make sure to maintain that stitch count. All right, that's it. Those are the tips for that. I won't be showing you these wrong side rows anymore, but I just wanted you to see that. All right, pause your video and I will see you for row 3. Last stitch on row 2, make sure to put your yarn to the back before you knit that very last stitch. Okay, turn it over and we're on to row 3. Row 3 and 5 are identical to row 1. So let's just remind you of the first part of that repeat. We're going to begin by knitting 2. All right, now here's our repeated section. We're going to yarn over, SSK, and you just got lots of practice on that one. So you should know what to do here. Knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, and knit 1. and then repeat. So you have yarn over, SSK, knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, and knit 1. Okay, so go ahead and repeat that, and then the very last stitch is a knit 1. You're going to do row 3, the same as you did row 1, then repeat the wrong side, come back and make a row 5, the same as row 1 and 3, and then make your wrong side row of row 6, and pause your video, do all that, come back, and I will show you row 7. All right, we'll see you soon. Be sure to keep up with your counter. All right, bye-bye. Row 7. Row 7 is my favorite row. I don't know, I just happen to have a favorite row. It only happens once. You're going to knit 3 to start. So knit 3. Okay, so now our repeated section starts this way. We're going to yarn over. We're going to slip 1. We're just going to slip that purlwise, and then we knit 2 together, and then we're going to pass the slip stitch over. So we're going to PSSO, pass the slip stitch over. So it's the very first stitch. If you've gotten these crossed, like sometimes that might happen, make sure you're not grabbing your yarn over. Grab your slip stitch and pass it over the knit 2 together. And now you have a center decrease there. So you've taken 2 stitches down to 1. So you've already added 1 yarn over in front of it. Now we need to yarn over behind it to make up for that stitch count. And then we continue with a knit 1, 2, and 3. So knit 3. So you're going to finish knit 3, and then you have your repeat. So the repeat is yarn over, and we're going to decrease, that double decrease here with the slipping of the first stitch, knitting 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, and yarn over, and then we knit 3 stitches. So our first yarn over is 1, the decrease is 2, the yarn over is 3, and then we have 3 stitches, which makes up for that multiple. And then you just continue on. Now on this row, after you get to the end, you will have 3 stitches remaining right after you have done a decrease, and so all you do is knit 3 stitches at the end. So that completes your repeat. So you just keep repeating. There's no extra stitches. So if you don't have 3 stitches in the end, then you may have messed up along the way. One easy thing to do is to accidentally do 2 decreases right after one another, or maybe do 6 of these knit 3 stitches. So just make sure that you're having them line up, and you'll see that it closes off this piece here that's really long. It closes off the top of this diamond here and here, and so we'll consistently do that all the way across. All right, so continue that row, pause your video, and I'll meet you back for the next row, which is row 9. So you're gonna knit your wrong side row and come back. We'll knit row 9. See you soon. All right, row 9 is very similar to rows 1, 3, and 5, except we are shifting things over, and you'll begin with 2 knit stitches as you had done on those rows, except your first stitch on the repeat, so this is where our asterisk is, we're going to knit 2 together. So before you had a yarn over SSK, now we're doing a knit 2 together. All right, and now we want to yarn over immediately, knit 1, yarn over again, and then SSK. So S, or slip, slip, and then knit. Okay, and that's the 5th one, and then we need 1 more, knit 1 here. Okay, so what separates that knit 2 together from the SSK is those yarn overs and knits with that area in between. But once we start our repeat, so we just had knit 1, oops, where's my yarn? We had knit 1, and now our repeat starts with knit 2 together. Okay, so knit 2 together and yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, SSK, and then knit 1. Okay, so I may have said that a little confusing. Let's do that again. So this is our 6 count. We have knit 2 together, which is first stitch. The second stitch is yarn over. The third is knit. The fourth is yarn over. The fifth is slip, slip, knit. So slip, slip, and then knit those 2 together and knit 1. You're going to continue that repeat until you have 1 stitch remaining and knit that very last stitch. So you'll have the SSK knit 1, and then you'll have 1 more stitch after that. So you might think, oh, I have 2 stitches at the end, but that's okay because one of them finishes out that repeat that you just did. All right, so continue on row 9, then do your follow-up even row on the wrong side, and we will see you for the last row that you need any lace work done on row 11, and then of course you'll have a repeated even row after that. So pause your video, knit to that point. We'll see you for row 11. All right, we're on row 11, and this one's very similar to row 7. Once you get started, it's going to feel very much the same. It just begins and ends a little different. So we're going to start with a knit 1, and then we're going to knit 2 together. Okay, and now we begin our repeat. We're going to yarn over, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and we want to yarn over again, and we're going to do a double decrease. We're going to slip 1 stitch, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, and we're done on that repeat. So it repeats again. Sorry, let me get some extra yarn. It repeats again with the yarn over and then knit 3. So it feels very much like the other pattern or the other row. It just has a different, the repeat start is different, but it doesn't really matter. You're just gonna know that you have a double decrease. You're gonna have yarn overs on either side and then 3 stitches just back to back. So we're gonna, right here, we're yarning over. Here we go, yarn over, and then we knit 3, 1, 2, 3. And yarn over, slip the stitch, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, all right, and repeat again. Yarn over, knit 3, yarn over, slip the stitch, knit 3 together, or 2 together, sorry, pass the slip stitch over. Okay, so you continue that repeat until you have the last 6 stitches, and you're going to yarn over, knit 3 together, yarn over, SSK, knit 1. But it doesn't really matter. You're just going to continue in this pattern until you just know that you've got, I look at it and I go, oh, I have 3 stitches left. What do I do now? And then I look at the pattern. So the last 2 stitches are slip, slip, knit. So if you notice, or I'm sorry, last 3 stitches, it's slip, slip, knit, and then knit 1. So on this side, you had knit 1 and then had a knit 2 together. So they're just like moving in opposite directions, okay? All right, so continue that on until, let's just go ahead and go to the last 6 stitches so you can see what I'm talking about visually. We'll see you there. All right, we're on the last 6 stitches of row 11, and I just completed my center decrease here, and it completed one of my little squares here, a diamond, but it's the smallest one. So you can see all of these are completed across that smallest portion, and now we have nearly our full repeat. So once we finish this and we have our repeated even row, this will hang down a little bit more and it'll be ready for the next repeat. All right, so the last 6 stitches, you're just going to simply yarn over and then knit 3, 1, 2, 3. And then these next 2 stitches, we're going to slip, slip, knit. So slip, slip, knit, oops, there we go, and knit the last stitch. And then you turn over and make that wrong side row for row 12. And that is the full pattern repeat. Isn't that beautiful? So I hope you enjoyed that. This one, if you didn't click to it and to find out, this is actually Yarn Bee Fundamental Cotton. It has an amazing drape. It feels really good. This actually be really nice in a garment. And I am using Knitter's Pride these are lace tips from the Mindful collection. It's a US 8 or 5 millimeter. So there's that little bonus if you didn't see that before. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this, and happy knitting from GoodKnit Kisses. We'll see you on the next video, and check out our patterns at goodknitkisses.com. Thanks for joining us today, where we help you stitch your love and love your stitches. See you again soon.